Well, I hope we'll manage to make it in 1 hour. Last time we over-scheduled, so this time, well, I'll try to look at the clock. And yeah, as did Magda mention, well, I was curious enough to raise this question about the English-speaking meetup after I was jealous, actually, because Jacek's Bernat AWS meetup had the performance in English, and I was like, oh, why not to do it here? But I didn't think that it would be so fast. So when Magda asked me like 2 weeks ago, would I be able to deliver, I said yes, and here is it. But please forgive me if I'll make some mistakes. It was extremely bumpy ride to do it in a short time. So why Bitcoins? Did anyone of you already mined Bitcoins, use Bitcoins? Oh, there are some usage. Who's mining? One. Yeah. So the presentation actually started in my mind because I was bored like a month ago when I was preparing trainings with Mirek for Aviva, actually, which is hosting us. And I was bored one evening, and I thought, oh, I would like to dig around and well, explore the Bitcoin or the blockchain a little bit more, because my previous attempts, like in 2011, completely failed. Back then it was buggy. I did it with extremely low cost, and I thought, well, I can try it a little if I will use spot instances, and I will have no initial costs. And that's this is the presentation about it, and it's about having fun and exploring the concept. So quickly about the agenda, I will, well, make this introduction. Then I will talk about the basic concept of Bitcoin, how does it work and why. Well, then we will have fun in AWS, and I will show you how you can spin up the whole environment in a few minutes, 5 to 15 minutes, and there will be live demo. Then we will talk a little about the economics in the future, and yeah, please be welcome to add your own thoughts to the conversation. So just a little about me. You already know, but probably most of you know me. But I work. Well, I'm Jakub Muszyński. I like Python, Linux, electronics, Internet of Things. And yeah, in the free time I do gardening. Recently, I blog about it. So it's an urban gardening. I also have 5 cats. I'm running, and I'm reading a beloved book recently. It's Metro Universe in 2033. If you'd like to talk about it later, it's, yeah, I love it. And I work as well in the well, it's not. We have some color issues, but I work in SO1 as a DevOps or daily basis. So my background is kind of practical. Yeah, we are hiring, if you like, the state-of-the-art team where we do a lot of machine learning, and as well we are hosted in AWS. Check our website. So the basic concept of Bitcoin, why it's so fun, why it's so cool. Well, first of all, it's digital and virtual. So there are no limitations in the physical world about the spread of the Bitcoin and the interchange of them. It's also peer-to-peer, so there is no authority involved in the process. There is no government, no regulation, which is really good, and it's bad in the same time. What's most important, it's open source, and everyone can well examine how does it work, and as well can check the code, look for vulnerabilities, and in case of spotting them, it's a collective effort to fix it. So it's really secure. In contrast to current banking system, if there is a bug in banking system, well, you might not know it. Here it's ensured by the community. And the transactions that happen in the network are stored in a blockchain in a decentralized way. So no one is, well, there's no single guarantee point or no single point of failure, to rephrase it, where it could fail. And what is most important, Bitcoin can be exchanged with other currencies, so, well, you can actually buy it, you don't have to mine it. So in order for Bitcoin to work, well, first of all, you need to store it. You need to acquire the Bitcoins, store it, and do something with them. And you store a Bitcoin in a wallet. Wallet is a collection of your private keys that, together with the software that is designed to process the blockchain, the keys, and the transactions, it allows you simply to, well, exchange Bitcoins, which means, in other words, to pay for something. And, well, the wallets and the software that run it uses the blockchain, which is, in a way, we could imagine it as the, well, very large Git repository that gets updated every, well, every iteration, every block generation. So, well, your transaction cannot be reverted. Your transactions are spread across the whole network, and, well, it are decentralized. So it's really secure in this manner. The blockchain contains all the record of all the transactions. So actually, when you perform the, well, when you are reading the blockchain, you can see where your previous money was taken from, where it's heading, and based on that, your wallet balance is computed. This is not a fixed value. It lives in the blockchain. And as I said, there is no central authority. So every block is spread across all the nodes in the network. So if some nodes collapse, well, you still have your money and it's secure. So, well, the transactions that happen in the process of exchanging money, it's a simple in-out exchange of Bitcoins, or the value that's well, meant to be sent, and the transaction happen in a way that you have the address, you have your wallet address, and you have your money or Bitcoins assigned to your wallet. You simply say that you want to send a part of your or all of your Bitcoins to a new address, to address of your recipient. And each transaction contains the inputs and the outputs. And simply you commit the transaction, you send it to the network, then it's confirmed by multiple nodes included in the current block, and the transaction happens. When the transaction is confirmed, you see that your balance is reduced. The another side sees that the balance is increased, and simply by that, well, the network guarantees that the money was transferred. The recipient can do something with the money, and you can receive the goods that you paid for. Simple as that. What's interesting? What is interesting about the concept that every transaction, well, you do not store the money in your wallet. You store it in some kind of the address. So if you send, there's a mistake. If you send like 1.2 Bitcoin to Bob, and you had 1.5 Bitcoin in your wallet, the 0.3 Bitcoin actually retrospect to new address. That's so it's not subtracted. You simply give part of it to yourself again. That's the interesting part of the concept of the transactions. So to recap, how does it work? When you have some money that you acquired previously, you send the transaction, you commit it to the current, well, pending transaction pool, and it's included into the block. Then this transaction is well spread over the multiple nodes in the Bitcoin network, and those blocks are included in the current block computation, or the mining, or the proof of concept creation, the proof of work creation. And when the transaction is confirmed by multiple nodes, and you decide how many nodes you would like, well, to see the confirmation from many nodes is required for you in order to, well, claim that the transaction have been confirmed. So when the confirmation happens, your transaction is included in the blockchain, and the receiver sees in his client that he receives the money. Simple as that. Well, so how does it work in the background? It works in a way that there are the nodes can generate, well, every some minutes the new block must be generated, and the network tries to adjust the difficulty so that every 10 minutes a new block of the transactions is committed to the blockchain. And this happened in a way that out of all the transactions that happened in the last time window, together with previous block hash, the SH1 SHA-256 hash sum is pre-computed. That must match some kind of the, let's call it, proper result. The solution there must be valid for the network. Let's look at the example. This process is called proof of work. The previous, let's call previous block, which we would call a previous commit, contains the set of the transactions. The the new block that is going to be generated contains the hash from the previous block, the proof of work from the previous block, together with all the transactions pending. And when you send the transaction to the network, miners are computing the new hash out of all previous transactions, or all the transactions that are, well, included in the current block. The part of this is also the hash from the previous block, which guarantees the continuity of the blockchain. And so you can actually pre-compute the previous blocks and well, be sure that everything is in the right order. And this computation is actually we could call it a brute force, because this number, the result that's well going to be computed, or the result that we are searching, it's simply a new SH251 hash that's which is a number that must start with some amount of zeros. It's so simple as that. You have well, block, which is binary representation of all the transactions in the time window, and the hash out of this block must be must be some number starting with some amount of zeros. And by adjusting the number of zeros which are starting the block, you actually limit the space of valid results, and in other way increase the difficulty. And this is really difficult. Currently, the hash is a random number, let's say it. And while you narrow the space of the proper results, you have to compute millions of brute force attacks against the current computation to achieve the proper result. That's why it's difficult. It takes a lot of time, a lot of computing power, and in the other words, a lot of electricity or money. And this is what runs the Bitcoin in a way, that computation takes money, so people pay for electricity, so they also have to gain money in return. As well, maybe I forget to add why the Bitcoin is so cool, because you can buy some Bitcoins or acquire some Bitcoins or mine some Bitcoins. And when you possess them, you can pay for goods all over the world without borders, without central authority, and almost without any fees. So, the base concept of Bitcoin is that you can pay for everyone, let's say anonymously, but it's not always true, and worldwide. And Bitcoin is a virtual currency, which in a way makes it all speculative. The current value of Bitcoin is comes from the wish of people to buy it and use it, or invest in it, and the other people wish to mine and keep the network running, and they are rewarded in a Bitcoin, in a transaction fees, and that's money paid for this all proof of work that is required in a Bitcoin to make it to secure the whole operation. I will talk a little bit about it later. Where does the miners get money from? Because all that the network must be running in order to make the transaction secure and spread and decentralized. And Bitcoin works on a few principles. One of the principles is that the miner actually race against each other in order to get the reward. Current reward by the guessed or brute force or generated if you succeed to generate the new hash is 12.5 Bitcoins. So if you happen to be lucky enough to randomly generate this new hash that would be valid with the network, you will get 12.5 Bitcoins, which is like $37,000, which was, because Bitcoin is currently 2,500 if I recall. But when it was like $3,000 in one Bitcoin, you could have like $37,000 just by guessing this single number, this hash. If you guess it correctly, which as I told you, it's a brute force attack. In a way, you get $37,000. But it's not so easy. That's why people currently combines in the groups called miners, and in a way of pools, they exchange the hash power to compute it faster, to overraise the other people. And it's still probability-based guess that more power gives you more chance to win this block reward, which is not always true, because, well, if you are lucky enough, well, you might get the guess the hash with the first iteration, but of course, statistically, it's not going to happen. Another way how Bitcoin, well, is guaranteed to work when this pool vanish, because it will end up. There is supposed to be 21 million Bitcoins, if I recall, in the pool, and that will be all. There will be no more blocks generated out of the thin air. Then, well, there's a second factor in a Bitcoin network. The nodes might force you to pay in order to make your transaction or include your transaction into the Bitcoin blockchain. Because if you look here, there is a set of transactions, but well, it has been well spotted that the longer or the larger the block is, well, it might slow down the hash finding. So some nodes might try to skip or well, not include some of the transactions, and currently it's not the case. But in the future, you might be forced to pay to the miners in order to include your transaction into the next block computation, or you will simply wait until your transaction would be well validated. So that would guarantee in the future that the blockchain or the network would run smoothly. Okay, so well, maybe I will show you a quick presentation. Yeah, let's see if the internet is working well. Well, so there are multiple sites that well helps you to understand the blockchain or browse through the blockchain of a Bitcoin and any other coin. And well, it's public knowledge, so you can see it. There are, for example, transactions that are incoming in the network. As you can see, the amounts are interesting, and the networks try to adjust its difficulty, so every block gets computed more or less every 10 minutes. If you'd like to discuss it, I can give more details. But yeah, let's take a look at the last blockchain that was generated 15 minutes ago. Well, it had like 2,000 transactions in it. You can browse every transaction that was in this blockchain. Everything is transparent, though those transactions tend to be anonymous, at least to some effort, some degree. So, coming back. So, well, I thought, well, let's take a look at the blockchain and let's try to dig something, because I actually tried to well dig blockchains like 6 years ago, something like 2011, and then I spectacularly failed because well, I tried to do it cheap. I had like scrapped graphic cards, and they were not compatible enough. There were some bugs, and then I abandoned the project for a long time. And I couldn't make up my mind to start, well, to test how to dig the coins. And one day I thought, well, maybe I'll dig something with well, try the solution. But the Bitcoin was kind of, well, digging Bitcoins is difficult to do it alone. But one day I spotted something which is called SiaTech, or Sia, and this is the concept of blockchain-based, well, encrypted and decentralized cloud storage platform. And I thought, well, maybe I will give it a try. I will take a look what this is about, because they claim that well, they can store a large amount of data for like $2 per terabyte, which is way better than anything in the cloud. So, in order to and which is very interesting in this concept, that it was built around the blockchain. It's not exactly Bitcoin, but in order to use this decentralized cloud storage platform, you need to pay some coins to the network, and well, those coins are called SIA. And I decided, okay, let's try to, if I can use some of my knowledge, and if I can well, start some environment. And well, I started first environment. Probably we do not have a sound. I wanted simply to show a quick video what is the SIA. But I will just show you the website instead. So it claims to be private. It claims to be affordable, redundant. As far as I've heard, like every chunk of your data is stored on the 6 nodes in the cloud network currently. But they are planning to reduce this number in order to have higher efficiency when the node reliability increase. So, well, it's open source, and you can. What is interesting for me, and that's why I looked on the concept, is that well, you can buy storage from someone, and you can as well sell your own storage. So I thought, oh, let's make like really cheap forced backup for the files I might lose, and let's try if the market or the solution is good enough, or yeah, is it mature? Just to say, for me, it's not mature enough, but the concept is really really worth exploring. So the things which made me very angry like 6 years ago was, well, my equipment was kind of old, and the solution did not work properly. And I thought, well, how could I test if I didn't want to do it without having a huge upfront cost? And then I thought, well, AWS has the spot instances, and actually, which are extremely cheap, and these instances does include the GPU processing unit. So I thought, okay, maybe I can, for literally almost no money, test the solution and actually see if I would like to buy some graphic cards, if I would like to set up my own miners. How does it work? Is it worth it? Can I do it? And then I thought, okay, let's use AWS. So, well, hopefully you can see it. Let's turn on the light. Well, it's not much better. Well, at AWS you can get your well, you can have your instances cheaper than you would buy it on demand with the on-demand price, and depending on the region, it's about well, 70% cheaper. Sometimes it's half the price. It really depends on the region, and so I've decided to use some G2 or P2 instances that have the graphic cards inside, And actually, let's take a look at the AWS console. So if you go to the spot instances section, and if that works, you can check the price history for this particular instance in this particular region. As we can see, the P2 X large instances that, well, for my purpose, for Sia, has like 450 mega hashes. On demand cost like $0.9, and on average in the last 3 hours it was like $0.3. So if you'd like to have fun, test, well, you could do it with the on-demand if you like to run a few hours, but well, what was my thought, let's do it on the spot instances, and let's try to run it for a longer period and see whether it would pay off or not. And of course you can start with the, well, you can launch the spot instances or any instances simply through the console. Like, well, you choose the instances, you select what the type, etc., etc. And actually I did it with the first instance that I have created. But it was extremely, well, annoying because it does not remind the, for instance, the type that you have selected. Well, I'm a lazy guy, and I try to automate everything and try to click as little as possible. So that's how I decided, okay, let's try to make the Ansible solution with AWS that would automatically spin up the environment that would be repeatable and actually that anyone could use. So I'd like to, well, go to the demo part. I'm not sure how it's visible. So in this demo part, we'll try to well, create a virtual private network, create a security group, subnet, create instance, install a tool, install mining, and, well, hopefully it will be between 5 to 15 minutes. And the beauty of that is that you can do it at work, at home as well. So I've created this GitHub repository that you can clone, download, or whatever you like. And actually, yeah, I have already cloned the repository to my workspace. And this repository consists of a few things. Well, I'll try to speak while typing. I will show you the steps I went when I was well, starting it. Actually, this environment is the one that I introduced for the trainings we did with Mirek some time ago. It's simplified version just to mine Sia, but you can download it from the GitHub. The link is in the presentation. And you can start with your own setup. You can, well, play with it, modify it. It's in my opinion, it's one of the fastest way to start well, professional stuff with Ansible and AWS, because all it takes to run this is like well, enable the virtual environment, and
you make it font larger.
Font larger. Well, yeah, that's the
and white background.
Ctrl+Shift+. Well, and maybe I'll try to change the colors, the background colors. I never did it here, so if you know the color scheme, that would be interesting. Is it better? Yeah, the light is already turned off.
Can you turn off the colors?
Yeah, but it's not better.
White. present for this.
Which one?
Yes.
Ah, black and white. Yeah. That's why I don't like to modify the environment because it's always complicated. So yeah, I will run the spot creation. Well, let's do it step by step. I will show you what I'm doing and why. And so I have this LWS Oregon region, and currently, well, I do not have any G2X large instance running. So what I'm going to do is with this simple run that it's going to perform for a while. I'm going to create a VPC, this with subnet, network, security groups, create one instance of G2, one spot instance of G2X large server, and later on install Sia on this node and start mining. And I will show you how it would work. What is interesting, it will also initiate the Sia, the blockchain, and all happens automatically. So if you would like to start later on, and the thing that you have to do is clone Git repo, source environment that is already prepared, and maybe modify some inputs for your commands that I placed in the in a simple, maybe visible playbook. So really difficult. Hopefully you would see a little. Yeah, sorry for that. I didn't expect the sun problem today after the thunderstorm in the morning. Maybe I'll try the other color schema black, because maybe like that.
Maybe we just make the font larger.
I'm really sorry for that. Try to
change the.
we won't see much what's going on. But what is there? I'm simply defining the MMI that I'm going to use, the region, and the AWS key in this region. If you yeah, the key was created up front. I use it for larger purposes in this region. I believe Mirek had a nice webinar about creating AWS key and other things. Maybe he'll post a link to that. Maybe if we convince him. In a simple words, you need to create a keeper. I have some create, download, and later on use it in your playbook. That's all. So there are DL variables that are important. Put on in the single place, as well as I define the VPC subnet, VPC network, VPC subnets in the VPC. The security group with allowance to just few addresses to access, and I also assign the elastic IP. This can be fake. If you put a fake address there, it will work, but the IP would be different. And yeah, if you look in the console, while I was talking, the whole environment was created. The VPC is present, security groups are present, the instance is running, and well, we can actually log into the instance, and well, we could log into the instance and see what would happen. But I will just run another command that install the SIA on the spot, because what I did create right now, I just simply created the environment and spots. I will try to use the less command, and maybe that would show better what we are actually doing, because it might not have the colors a little better, probably. So what we are doing there, well, first of all, we check if the VPC is created. Then we do all the magic that, well, installs Python 2 on Ubuntu 16 or 4, etc., etc. And the last role in this execution is the role which, well, actually installs SIA. And I would like just simply to show you the role, because it's the single interesting thing here. This role actually follows. Well, you could imagine it as of the execution of bash script in a proper well, steps. It downloads the latest release of the SIA binder, SIA daemon, and SIA client, and then extracts, well, as long as install NVIDIA CUDA, and then it simply unzips the miners, initiate wallet, which is also interesting step in the SIA generation, and start the miner. And I decided to start it in the screens, so you can actually examine what happened. Well, and just simply close part of them later. Well, if I would take, yeah, sure.
You not created the image.
Well, know that all of the questions should be speak by my crew.
Okay.
Well, I will repeat the question of Michael, why I do not use the image. Well, I kind of never liked using the pre-computed AWS ME. Well, it might not be the best idea, but I usually use the default image, and I simply add my stuff to it. So if I will log into this machine, it should already has the miners running, and or not. I'll run it again. Probably the instance was not tagged to the last to the proper spot, because actually I should see this instance and it should have right now running SIA on it, but the goals of the presentation probably did not allow me to do it properly, so I will try to repeat the concept. Okay, I forgot to mention that I use dynamic inventory to launch over the this dynamically created spot instances, and I forget simply to to tell to Ansible to use dynamic inventory in order to well, access or get the list of instances that I have created. And right now with this dynamic inventory, actually the installation of Sia should happen. Well, the script that if you will examine it at home later, well, you would see that it's well, check if the instance is running, check if it's listening on the proper IP, and hopefully it will run in a second, and we will see Sia running and Sia mining there. In a way, I have prepared also, well, I have this node running for, I have another node of Sia miner running for like 6 days. And, well, if you would see, over 6 days I did mine at 0 blocks currently, which is really bad result. But as I told you, the whole concept of this presentation is actually about getting started and doing it extremely fast. So probably some adjustment should happen. But well, I launched it and I forget about it, and that's the result. And the result is poor. If you well, look at NVIDIA CUDA, what's there? You'll see that this node contains Tesla K80 and runs on 95% of the GPU power right now with 140 watts. So yeah, this is the actual mining that happens right now in AWS on a spot instance, and I pay just a fraction of the cost for running it, though it's still not the greatest result. As I talked, the Sia is getting installed on this freshly well generated or requested node, and hopefully in a few moments we'll see it's running. So a little bit more about Sia. The concept is that, well, you can store your data over a decentralized network, and in order to pay for your data storage contract, you need to well, to acquire SiaCoins that you can either well, mine or buy on the market. Well, I thought I would be able to mine some of the coins, but as it happened, the network difficulty is already too high in order to a single person to mine it well, on a single node without joining the pool. So I failed there, but as you hopefully would see in a moment, well, the installation process is smooth. I didn't change anything. As I'm talking, it's getting installed in the background, and well, that's the whole concept of quick start. Well, maybe I'll continue with the presentation, and well, I will show you if it worked and how it worked in a moment. But for now, let's talk about the economics. So, well, I tried to mine the bitcoins like 6 years ago, and as I told you, I completely failed because back then my equipment was rather poor, and well, I didn't want to invest money in the proper diggers, and well, maybe if I would start back then, invest some money. Right now, I would be a millionaire, but probably that wouldn't happen because, well, if you mine bitcoins, well, you have to ask yourself whether you would like to pool the money while mining and pay for your electricity, or to treat it as investment. You always add money to the stack, never taking it out unless the price is high. And well, I've heard about the idea that if someone, instead of buying the equipment for mining and investing in money in a power, would buy Bitcoins, like 3 years ago, he would gain more money than well, joining the mining pool and well, taking profit out of it. And I think that's the valid idea. As you can see, well, one of the great websites, the CoinMarketCap. Currently, Bitcoin is, or any coin is a really interesting topic. When the Bitcoin did reach 3,000, well, everyone was so surprised, but also so well. Anyone right now is talking about it, and anyone would like to, well, find a way to well, earn money. And there are multiple solutions. You can invest in Bitcoin, buy it when it's cheap. You can and sell it when it's well, expensive, which is the best idea, of course. You can join the pool. You can mine, well, do mining, whatever you like. It's unclear when it's profitable, but for sure it's not profitable to mine it on spot instances in AWS. But if you like to do it, to make a lab and see if you can start your own miners, see how to do it without paying upfront large amount of money for the equipment, waiting for the order, and well, doing all the setup, you can start almost immediately. In about 15 minutes, you can have your own miner working. For this presentation, well, I was talking about Bitcoin, but I did show you a Sia mining solution because that was more in my scope. So, well, the economics. Why I did choose the altcoin, which is SiaCoin, instead of Bitcoin? Because it was easier to mine. Well, Bitcoin is getting expensive, so some investors are, well, less interested in well, buying Bitcoins because, well, maybe the other currencies might have the bigger well, increase in the near future. And there is, well, fear that there is a market bubble for Bitcoin. So there are multiple alternative coins to explore. I choose to explore Sia because I like their storage integration. I will tell you that, or really interesting coin is called Monero, which well, tends to guarantee, or it claims that you're anonymous in the whole process, because Bitcoin is not, well, it's not completely anonymous. And yeah, that's my result for or payment for getting for mining zero SiaCoins over the last week. So yeah, I'm not proud about it, but I'm happy that I've set up the test lab in a few minutes. And well, to be honest, I forget to switch it off when I was on board. So it was running for a week, and well, with a hope that when I get back, it will have a lot of coins waiting for me. Actually, it didn't happen. Yeah. So, what's the future of blockchain? I would like to, well, take a step back, look from the distance, and well, probably it's not good to well, treat AWS or any cloud as the place where you could mine something and get profit and be profitable. I've read the article that mining the Litecoin with Ethereum on spot instances was barely profitable for some time when the spot instances price was right, but as I told you, it's a gamble, and well, I'm not so experienced to do this kind of gamble right now. There are people who are doing this professionally. So, well, if you like to start, take a look, and well, what could be the future? Well, I hope that the Bitcoin would be something like PayPal 2.0, where well, right now in PayPal you can send your money over abroad, but you actually have to well, you need to have some kind of a source where you would well, adjust, or where you could take your money and put it into the PayPal. But what if the Bitcoin would actually replace your currency, or your main currency? What if you would be able to pay in a shop for a coffee using Bitcoin or another alternative coin, and well, actually stop using your local currency? Then when you travel to other country, you do not have to exchange money. You just simply pay with the same currency, with the same money all over the world. And that's kind of the interesting concept. Another interesting idea I've heard about, that using the blockchain, it's the new platform that actually, if I recall, it's developed in Germany. It's called the NetFund, and well, it's the investor director platform where you can, well, invest some money in some company, and the NetFund guarantee this all round and publishing, investing, and all the things together. So well, there are new opportunities that emerge together with the rise of a blockchain. I honestly hope that the banks would actually start to use the blockchain, or there would be some kind of the community-driven worldwide banking system, because well, with the decentralization and the proper use and proper security, Bitcoin could replace most of the transaction issues that nowadays banking systems share. So, well, it's hard to send the money over abroad. It's hard to do it quick or fast. So, if we could have more solutions built around the blockchain, well, the future is bright. And as well, as I did tell you about the SIA. It's one of the solution that was built and uses the blockchain as a guarantee for money on the files exchange, or the good exchange. Well, there are also risks. I'm not sure if you heard about the recent Ethereum attack or usage. Some group of people did invest money in the and well, they were trying to achieve proof of buy of any cost well, on the market, and actually they managed to drop the Ethereum value to $0.1, and it's claimed that this guy bought Ethereum coins worth of 1 million out of he invested $350, and those coins are worth 1 million. So, well, there are some risks. Sometimes the market is not mature enough to prevent some such attacks. But hopefully in the future, if the proper, well, my hope is that the banks would well, somehow try to use the blockchain. This risk should be mitigated. Well, and to well, advertise a little about the previous talks that happened on the SysOps DevOps, and actually are closely related to the environment I did use today to automatically set up the instances, create the instances. It's one of the first meetup. It's trunked a little, but it was 5th SysOps DevOps meetup with Serge Bazański, who was showing how do they create a capture the flag infrastructure for the hackathons. And I was presenting some times ago, well, in-depth, intro, where you can find the way how to start from no knowledge to to actually using Ansible in like 1.5 hours. Well, let me switch and see if the environment was created. And yes, it was. And there are some leftovers that I will close in a second, but I just wanted to show you what had happened. So in one screen I did, or one comment, I did simply init the wallet. And I did store the password. You can see it, it's not a secret. I did store the password for further use. And right now I will just simply close this screen. In another screen I did unlock this wallet that I have created or initialized. And yeah, there is a success, wallet was unlocked. And since then, I can use the Sia and Sia miner in order to get coins or generate coins. So the Sia daemon is running in one screen. You could replace it, make it run on services, whatever you like. For me, it was fast to start with a screen. And if you look around, the Sia miner is mining with the hash rate of 150 megahashes per second, and it all happened automatically while I was talking to you. Nothing was. I did not touch anything. It bootstrapped itself. We can also take a look in another window what is happening to NVIDIA, and yeah, it's. On this node, it's G2X large. It's equipped with NVIDIA K20, which is a weaker card. Which if we take into account the cost of the spot instance versus the hash power, it's even worse than the one that's running here. So, as I told you, it's probably not profitable, but if you like to try, if you like to start, you can do it in like 10-15 minutes. You would have your whole environment set up and the miner working. Feel free to change the commands, change the miners, change the solutions that you do. I hope that the thing that I did prepare here is kind of easily exchangeable. You simply, I did use some shell commands, so actually if you can install your miner or whatever you like with Bash, you can simply replace some tasks that are included in this repository, and you can do whatever you like. So, going to the to finish the presentation, if you have questions, let's discuss. Maybe you have some other vision of the future. Sorry for the screen and the sun. I didn't expect that lighting would actually hide some of the demo. That was, I hope that it will be the most interesting part of the presentation. Happened that it wasn't. And if you like to hear or talk about Ansible or the AWS and the trainings, you can contact me or contact Mirek, and we can deliver or train your team. We can deliver like Ansible from zero to a hero in 1 day. And actually, it's true. After 1 day of labs that are more sophisticated than the things that I did present, you can run your production environment with Ansible. So yeah, that's it.
Do we have any questions? Okay, who has first question? Michael, of course, Michael.
Hey, my question is, because you're using spot instances. What will happen if your instance is dead? It's going to be terminated. What's going to happen with the wallet and already mined Bitcoins?
Yeah, so right now the wallet would be lost. I didn't care about it much because I didn't dig enough coins to, well, 0 coins is nothing like I did care about. As a part of well, my further plans, actually, what to do with this environment, I have like, I don't know, 20 terabytes of old disks or something, and I actually plan to join the SIA cluster, and well, in order to prevent the loss of the wallet, my plan is to put it or to upload it every few minutes to remote place. It's not included yet in the playbook, but when I will have my own cluster running, for sure I will. By then I will make it run. So this environment is not good. This solution is not complete for prolonged use. My advice is you should join some of the mining pools for SIA or for any cryptocurrency that you would like, because well, the whole scope, the whole topic is widely is really complex, and well, there might be other solutions that other than the one that I did present, and maybe you will find it more profitable. Maybe you will find the ways that, well, you can, well, gamble or gain money in a different way. As I told you, there are some well, thoughts on like mining SiaCoins with Ethereum or with Litecoins altogether, and people claim that it's more profitable than just mining Ethereum or just mining SIA. Well, it's a huge gamble. There is no single explanation how to earn money with that.
Okay, do we have another question? I don't see any hands up. Okay, so thank you very much. Big applause for Jakub.